Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Padarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. Today happens to be Monday. This is the first Monday after in Shravana Masa. And therefore, being a Monday, we are doing the Upadesha Sahasri, and it happens to be 160th page number, and page number 160 and verse number 31. 160 page number and 31st sloka on 160 page. Aprapya iva nivartante vacho dhibi sahaivatu. Nirgunatvat kriya bhavat visheshanam abhavataha. Aprapya iva means without reaching. Nivartante, they return. What are they? Vachaha, the words. Dhivihi, with the thoughts. Sahaivatu, along with the thoughts. Tu means but. Without reaching the self, but without reaching the self, the words repeat back along with the thoughts. Nivartante vacho dhibihi. And therefore, it is not that the words, when you pronounce the word, it has to reach yourself. Oh, and then when the breath is over, then you think it is reaching the self. It is not. That's not what is reaching the self and not reaching the self. Meaning, the words cannot be used to describe the nature of the self. Today, it is not objectifiable. If it is not objectifiable, then the words cannot be used to describe the nature of the self. And thoughts also can't be used to objectify the self. And therefore it is called, the words beat back along with the thoughts without reaching the self. Nirgunatvat. The Nirgunatvat means because the self being Nirguna. Nirgunatvat. That Nirgunatvat means Tvat. Nirgunatvam means being Nirgunam. Nirgunatvam. Nirgunatvat means because it is Nirguna, because it is Nirguna. Nirgunatvat. There is no Guna Guni. This Nirguna means it is not Sagunam. If it is Upasana, then it is Sagunam. Then you associate a form to it. When you associate a form, then it becomes Saguna. Saguna. If it is unassociated with any guna, then it is Nirguna. And therefore it is Nirgunatvat. Kriya Bhavat. Kriya Bhavat means it is not functional. What functions is only Jivatma. Atma as Atma doesn't function. Atma as Jiva functions. Atma as Jiva functions. It's very important to note, Ji. Atma as Atma doesn't function. Atma as Jiva functions. Taking the body to be itself alone becomes the Jiva. Without taking that you are not the body, then you are not Jiva. If you take yourself to be the body, then you are Jiva. If you don't take yourself to be the body, then you are not Jiva. And therefore, as a Jiva, it functions. And Atma as Atma, it is Akriyatvat. Kriya Bhavat. Kriya Bhavat means it is not functional. Then who functions, Swamiji? Then it is only Jiva, as Jiva. Consciousness as Jiva functions. Yes, in Jiva, consciousness is the nature of Jiva. Solely consciousness. It is not the body. It is consciousness alone is the nature of the Jiva. Consciousness alone is the nature of the Jiva. Saindava Ganavat. Like even Saindhavagana. Saindhavagana means it's like even a salt crystal. A salt, in the salt crystal there is nothing but salt alone. In the same manner, in consciousness, there is nothing but consciousness alone. And therefore, kriya abhavat, visheshanam abhavata. Visheshanam means the adjectives. There are no adjectives between the universe and Brahman, between the universe and Atma, between the seer and the seen, between the witness and the witnessed. There is no guni guna bhava. There is no guni guna bhava. It is very important. There is no guni guna bhava. There is no noun adjective relation. You see the world. Between the world is not an adjective of the self. The world doesn't qualify the self. Anything that qualifies the self, anything that qualifies the self would be called the adjective, but nothing qualifies the self. The universe, in the universe, there is no object. Even this body doesn't qualify the self. And the actuality of the consciousness is not qualified by matter. The body is not doesn't qualify the consciousness. Thoughts do not qualify consciousness, and prana also doesn't qualify consciousness. And therefore it is other than the body, the breath, and the thoughts. It is other than means it is not something. It is not qualified by them. They don't have it doesn't have the adjectives like the body, the breath, and the thoughts. And therefore visheshanam abhavataha, and therefore you cannot objectify, and therefore the words cannot describe, because there are no visheshanas. Words become descriptive of something which has adjectives. If the space doesn't have any adjectives, if something doesn't have adjectives, how can you describe? Because you always enter the noun through the adjectives. Through the adjectives. If adjectives are not there, the words enter. You can use the words to describe an object, a noun with the help of the adjectives. Visheshana, Rupa, Visheshana is something that is very necessary. Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha. Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha. These are the. I can say it is a red flower. I use the redness as an adjective. It's not the Swarupa, it is an adjective, because there are other things also which are red. I can use the jati. It is a flower. It is a flower that I am taking the help of jati. It's a flower jatika. And kriya. It is a moving flower. It is a moving flower. Flower as a limited. It moves. It is an active flower, and it is something that it is sambandha. It is a garden flower. It's a garden flower. That is called sambandha. Without the help of jati guna kriya sambandha, you can't describe anything. And therefore this is very important to understand. This is to be understood. Atma cannot be described by words, but yet words are corrective in Vedanta. Words are corrective of the error. What is the error? That I am the body. You are not the body. That is what it says. The Vedanta only saying that you are not the body. You are not the body means you are other than the body. You are not. You are different from the body. You are unlike the body. You are other than the body. You are distinct from the body, and therefore you have to understand this. And therefore, Visheshanam abhavataha. There is no noun adjective relationship between Atma and the universe, any object for that, anything that is objectifiable. Between the witness and the witnessed and the witness, there is no noun adjective relationship. Between the seer and the seen, there is no noun adjective relationship. There is no experiencer and the experienced also, there is no noun adjective relationship. Then what is the relationship? The relationship is only Satya Mithya Bhava. Between the snake and you, between the snake and the rope, what is the relationship? The relationship is snake is not an adjective of the rope. Snake is Mithya. Snake is Mithya and rope is Satyam. It is the rope that is misunderstood as snake. It is the self that is misunderstood as Deha. And therefore, there is no non-adjective relationship. There is no Satya, there is only Satya Mithya Bhava. This is what we have. So this is what is said in the first two, in the verse number 31. In the verse number 32, it is said, Vyapakam Sarvato Vyoma. The Atma is all pervasive. Vyapakam. Vyapakam means Vyapnoti iti Vyapakaha. Vyapnoti, it is something that pervades. It is pervasive, like space. Vyapakam Sarvato. Sarvataha means all. Sarvataha means all over. It pervades the space. It pervades the space, Shabda. There is a noun adjective relationship between the space and the sound, between between the touch. It cannot. You can't feel that there is space. Doesn't have the adjectives like the touch and the form, taste and the smell. They are not there. They are not its adjectives. Just as space is used to convey the truth. Just as space is something, it is present all over. It is present all over. It is all pervasive. In the same manner, Atma is also all pervasive. Murtaihi sarvaihi viyojitam. Viyojita means it is yojita means connected. Viyojita means it is disconnected. Viyojitam, it is disconnected. The space has no form at all. It has no form. It has no form. It has no form that we know of. The forms are not, even though it is a part of creation, but still doesn't have a form. It's sound. Sound is its adjective. Sound, it is, you have to move from one space. Only in space you can create sounds. The sounds, in order to reach the other person's sound, he has to be in space, and therefore sarvaihi viyojitam. The space is not, doesn't have any form, but all forms are accommodated in the space. It is not shunyam. Space cannot be shunyam, please. Space is even though it has no form, but we can't say it is nothing. It is not nothing. It is something. It doesn't have form, but it is a part of creation, and it accommodates the whole universe. What accommodates the whole universe cannot be nothing. What accommodates the whole universe cannot be nothing, and therefore this has to be understood. And therefore it is not shunya. Spatiality is not, space is not shunyam place, and therefore in the same manner, just as space doesn't have a form and it accommodates all forms, in the same manner Atma also is all pervasive, and it is all pervasive. It is present in all the qualities, and yet all the between the qualities, between the space, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, it is there. Atma is there in all this space and time, but nothing qualifies it. Nothing qualifies the actuality. The Atma is something the Atma is something that's not qualified by any of them. It is none of them, and the forms do not become. It accommodates the forms, but no form can be an adjective of the Atma. No form can be an adjective of Atma, and therefore it is said, Vyapakam sarvato vyoma murtae sarvai viyojitam. Yatha tadvat ya atmanam vindyat. Let one understand Atma with the help of space. Space has drishtana. Just as space has no form, but it accommodates all forms without being qualified by the self, without being qualified by the forms. In the same manner, Atma has to be understood as all pervasive, and it accommodates all forms, and it is not qualified by it. None of them. It becomes its adjective. In this manner, Vindyat, Shuddham, and it is pure. Purity is not dharmic purity. It is pure means it is changeless. It is pure means it is changeless. It cannot lose its existence. It is eternal. It is Shuddham means it is pure. It is pure means it doesn't lose its existence. Shuddham. Param. Param means it is something desha kala vastu parichinna shunyam. It is free from desha, kala and vastu. It is free from time. It is free from the objects. It is free from the space also. Param. Padam. Padam means abode. It is the abode of the universe. It's not locked up in the objects. The objects are locked up to consciousness. They are made of consciousness, and therefore they are in consciousness. Therefore, it's not consciousness is in the forms. We think that the consciousness is locked up in the forms. Consciousness is not locked up in the forms. Bhagavan also says, I am in everything, but I don't depend upon anything. I am in everything. Everything is in me. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. Everything is in me. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. Everything depends upon me. I don't depend upon anything. In this manner, Bhagavan Krishna says Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. My yogam, my oneness, please understand my oneness. My oneness, please understand. Vinjat, Shuddham, Param, Padam. And therefore, Atma is not in the Anatma. Anatma is in the Atma. Anatma exists in the Anatma is made of Atma. And therefore, just as waves are made of water, and therefore it's wrong to think that water is locked up in the waves. The waves are confined to water. Without water, there are no waves. In the same manner, here also, without Atma, there is no Anatma. Anatma is confined to Atma. Anatma is confined to Atma. Anatma exists only because of Atma. Anatma is made of Atma, and therefore Atma is not locked up in the body. Atma, we are not locked up in the body. The body is confined to consciousness. The body is confined to Aham. Deha is Idam, and every Idam is confined to Aham. And therefore, Yajnavalkya says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, he says. I am Brahman means I am unlimited. I am not as non-deha. I am unlimited naturally. In Sushupti, a person who is free from all the thoughts definitely is also free from their body, is also free from the breath, and therefore you are not aware of the body, you are not aware of the breath, you are not aware of the thoughts. There are no thoughts felt, there is no breath felt, there is no body felt, and therefore you are free from all apranaha, amanaha, shubraha. You are free from all these things, and therefore you are indeed Advaitam, and therefore Vyapakam Tadvadita Atmanam Vinjat Suddha Param Padam. You are indeed the abode of everything. You are not in the breath. You are not locked up in the Anatma. You are not locked up in the Anatma. We think so. We are locked up in the Anatma. We are not locked up in Anatma. The Anatma is confined to Atma. The Anatma is confined to Atma. The wave is confined to water. Without water, there is no wave. And in the same manner, without Atma, there is no Anatma. This is what is to be seen. And therefore, we think that it is all confined to. We think that it is locked up in water. It is locked up in water, but it's not locked up in water. The water, the wave is confined to water. This is what we have to understand. Similarly, the Anatma is confined to Atma, and therefore it is Anatma is in Atma. And therefore, when we understand the self is only Atma, the self is only consciousness, the self is not the body. The self can never cease to be consciousness. The self can never cease to be consciousness. The self is aware, it can never cease to be awareness. But yet, the self is not qualified by anything, and therefore it is not locked up in any Anatma. Anatma is confined to consciousness, and therefore you are not the body. You are only You only think that you are the body, but it is only a thought, that it is only a notion. One thinks that one is the body. It is not, one finds oneself with the body, as the body. That is one's existence. That is one. But that doesn't mean he is the body. He is not the body. He is not the body. Even though he finds himself with the body, but he is not the body, because he is not the body, and therefore he has to understand that he is free from the body, and therefore here it is said, Tadvadya Atmanam Vidyat Shuddha Param Padam, the abode of Param Brahman, the abode of Param Brahma. God is not in any corner of the universe. The universe is in God. The universe is in God, and it is made of God. The universe is made of God. And the universe, God is the Upadanam, was the material for the universe. Therefore, he is not, the heaven also, he is not in heaven. God is not in heaven. The heaven is in God. The hell also, Dukkham also is in God. He is the material for the Dukkham. The relative Dukkham is the material for Dukkham, Sukham, everything. Sukham is his Swarupa, but Dukkham is imposed. Dukkham is imposed on him. In the same manner here also, this Dukkham is imposed upon Atma in Adhyasa, talking about Adhyasa. Dukkham is imposed upon Atma. Sukham is Atma's Swarupam. Sukham is Atma's Swarupam. This has to be understood. Drishtam hitva smritim tasmin. Drishtam hitva. Hitva means having renounced, tyaktva. Having renounced the, having left the, having having avoided the scene. Don't think of the scene. Don't think of the remembered. Tasmin smritim means about the drishtam. Then you remember the impressions. You remember what is seen, and that remembrance is called the dream. When you see something, that is called the waking. When you see something, that is called the waking. When you remember something, that is called the dream. That is from the waking point of view. Otherwise, from the dream point of view, there also it is seen only. In the dream also you see things. But here, from the waking point of view, the waking objects are seen and the dream objects are remembered. And smritim tasmin sarvagraha. In Sushupti, sarvam sarvagraha means the swallower of everything. Sarvam grina, sarvam something, it swallows everything. Sarvagrascha. Sarvagrascha. Sarvagrascha means it swallows everything. Tamas, in darkness, Chajet. The darkness also may you renounce. May you not. Renunciation is not just forgetting. Just leave it. And there, it is not leaving everything. It's not renunciation. It is not leaving. It is understanding that Atma is, the experienced is separate from the experienced. The experienced is the seed, the drishtam, the smriti, and the ignorance. All the three are renounced. All the three are understood as separate from Atma. Because I am the experiencer. Consciousness is the experiencer. And the waking is experienced. Consciousness is the experiencer. And the dream is experienced. And the consciousness is the experiencer. And ignorance is, darkness is experienced. The darkness, when you don't see a thing, when you don't, what is to be seen, if you don't see, then it looks like darkness. The darkness also falls within consciousness. The dream falls within consciousness. And the waking also falls within consciousness. Having renounced all the three states, having renounced all the three states means understanding that Atma is one's existence is not is not qualified by the three states. One's existence is not qualified by the three states. In this manner, Sarvadrik, Jyotisha, and he remains only Sarvadrik. He is the seer of everything. He is only the seer, seer of the waking, seer of the dream, seer of the ignorance. As the seer, he continues. Jyotisha is associated with consciousness. He is associated with consciousness. Associated does not mean consciousness is something else. Like the fire is associated with the heat, just as the sun is associated with the light. The sun is not associated with something else called light. It is its sarupam. In the same manner, here also we say Jyotisha. The self is associated with the consciousness means does not mean consciousness is something else. It is associated with it. In this manner, don't think it is its swarupa. Yuktaha. Yuktaha means associated with. Yuktaha Jyotisha Yuktaha. Yuktaha means endowed with. Jyotisha Yuktaha means by endowed with consciousness, endowed with consciousness. Dinakrit Sharvaram Yatha. And it dispels the darkness. It falsifies the three states, just as the sun. Dinakrit means the sun. Dinakrit means the sun. Sharvaram means the darkness. Sharvaram means the darkness of the night. Sharvaram. The darkness of the night ko, it dispels how the sun dispels the darkness and remains luminous. In the same manner, the Atma also falsifies all the three states and remains conscious. Drashta alone remains Sarvadrik. It remains everything. And how do you know? How does one know that one exists at that time? Yes, it is there. You know your existence at any time. The existence is not something that has to be known through. It is Swata Siddham. It is self-evident. And therefore, just as you are there in the waking state, you don't have to require, you don't require any other pramana when it comes to your existence. You are very much there. In the dream, you are very much there. You don't require any other pramanam to think of your existence, whether it is to prove your existence. Your existence doesn't require to be proved. It is evident. And therefore, in the same manner, you are in the deep sleep state also, you are very much there. Otherwise, you can't remember after waking up the darkness of ignorance. The darkness of ignorance you can't be remembered, but you do remember the darkness. The darkness of the objects, darkness about the objects. Unless you remember what was seen before was not seen. What is being seen now was not seen at that time, and that looks like darkness, and therefore that darkness also you falls within consciousness, and therefore understanding the consciousness as yourself, and you are only the consciousness, then it falsifies all the three states, like the sun dispels the darkness of the night. In the same manner, you falsify all the three states. The Atma is separate from all the three states. This question, this discerning falsifies all the three states. This is the meaning of drishtam hitva smritim tasmin sarvascha sarvagrascha tamastyajat. Sarvadrik. It is Sarvadrik Tada. Sarvadrik means it is the seer of everything. It is the seer of the waking. It remains the seer of the dream. It remains the seer of the seer is not the seen. The seer is not also qualified by the seen. It is the seer of the darkness also. Everything falls within Atma, and therefore it is said Sarvadrik Jyotisha Yuktaha. It is endowed with consciousness. Janakrit, the sun. Sharvaram means the darkness of the night, Yatha. Just as the sun falsifies the darkness of the night. In the same manner, the self also falsifies. The self understood falsifies all the three states. That I am locked up in the way, I am locked up in the waking body, I am locked up in the dream body, I am locked up in the darkness. In this manner, one thinks. You are not locked up in any way. You are free, but the waking state is confined to consciousness. The dream state is confined to consciousness, and the darkness also is confined to consciousness. There is no darkness minus consciousness. There is no minus. You can't think of minus consciousness. But it means only even the darkness is made of consciousness, and therefore it is said, Dinakrit Sarvaram Yatha. Rupa Smriti Andakarartha. The objects of Rupa, Smriti, Andakara, Artha. Rupa is the waking state. Smriti is the dream state. Andakara means the deep sleep state. All the three states are the objects of thoughts. Pratyaha. You can only think of all the three. They are all pratyaha, pratyay rupas. All these, they are not objects. They look like objects before falsification. Before understanding, they look like objects, but they're all pratyayas. They're all pratyaha. They look like objects of thoughts, but they are not objects of thoughts. They're only thoughts. प्रत्ययः यस्य गोचरः, जिसका गोचर है, जिसका विषय है. प्रत्ययः यस्य प्रत्यय यस्य गोचरः, a person's objects. यस्य गोचरः, यस्य गोचरः, गोचर means विषयः. Rupa is waking objects are the objects. The smriti is the objects, and the darkness is also the objects of whom that person, sa eva atma, whose objects are the waking state, the dream state, and deep sleep state. That is the atma. The one who experiences the waking state, the one who experiences the dream state, the one who experiences the deep sleep state is atma. Saeva atma. Saeva atma. That alone is atma. Samaha. And it is the same. Drashta. And it is the drashta. Sarvabhuteshu. In all the individuals, that is the drashta. Sarvagaha, it is all pervasive. It need not be thought that it is only in this body. It is in every physical body, in every physical form. It is there. And then it is said, Rupa, Smriti, Andakara, Arthaha. Arthaha means objects. Yasya Gocharaha. Arthaha means objects. The waking is an object. The dream is an object. The Andakara also is an object. Anything that can be objectified is an object. And therefore all the three states are objects. Andakararthaha, pratyaha, the thoughts, yasya gocharaha, yasya pratyaha gocharaha, yasya. These pratyas, pratyyon ka gochar hai, pratyyon ka vishaya hai, and those pratyas belong to Atma. The entertainer of the thoughts is Atma, Jivatma. The entertainer, but his actuality is a non-functional. He is akarta. He is not an entertainer. The Jiva is an entertainer. He finds himself entertaining. Yasya gocharaha, sayeva atma. That alone is the self. You don't have to think that Atma is something else. The Jivatma is Paramatma. Jivatma with the body, Paramatma means without the body. And therefore, Sayeva Atma, Samaha. It is the same in all the physical forms. Drashta. It is the same drashta. Sarvabhuteshu. In all the individuals. Sarvagaha. It is all pervasive. It is Sarvabhuteshu, Sarvagaha. Sarvagaha means it is all pervasive. Sarvatra gacchati. It is Sarvagaha. It is all pervasive. It is in all individuals. What is present in one individual is present in all individuals. The same truth is present in all individuals. And therefore, I am solely the drashta. I am not the seen. I am solely the drashta. This has to be understood. I am solely the drashta. As solely the drashta, you are Paramatma. As drashta, as the drashta with the drishyam, identified with a given drishyam called the body, then you are Jivatma. If you are solely the drashta, then you are Paramatma. Then it is said in the verse number 35, it is said, Atma Buddhi. Atma means the body. Buddhi means the intellect. Mana means the mind. Chakshuhu means the eyes. Vishaya means Chakshur Vishaya. Vishaya means the objects. Aloka means the light. Samagama, Sangamat. They're all together along with the self. They're all there along with the self. Sangamat means they're all there along with the self. They're coexistent with the self. They're coexistent with the self. And the Atma means the body, the intellect, the mind, the chakshu, and the objects, and the light. All of them are present along with the self due to ignorance. Pratyaya Ajnana Lakshana. It is Ajnana Lakshana. To be present, all of them are there. They are there. If I am identified with the intellect, if I am identified with the mind and chakshu, I am identified with the chakshu, vishaya, aloka, sangamata. If I am identified with all these factors, then there is only ajnana. That's because I don't understand myself that I am not the body. Vichitra jayate buddhe. And in the intellect, the knowledge is born. Vichitra. Vichitra means Chitra Vichitraha. Vichitraha means the sense of solidity, the sense of reality is born. Vichitraha means even though they are pratyas, but they are considered to be Vichitra knowledge. Some funny knowledge is born in the intellect. That I am an individual, that I am limited. The unlimited starts thinking that I am limited, confined to the body, and every object he thinks is a real, and therefore regarding the waking objects, he thinks that they are all real. About the dream objects also he thinks that they're also real, and the darkness also he thinks that is also real. In this manner, he starts thinking. This is called Vichitra Buddhi. Sense of reality is called Vichitra. Jayate Buddhe Pratyaha. And it is Pratyaha. Buddhe Pratyaha. It is only Pratyaya Rupa Jnanam. It is only Pratyaya Rupa. The sense is only, it looks as though real. It is considered as real. But it is only a thought. It is thought real. It is a notional reality. Pratyaya. Ajnana Lakshana. It is self-ignorance. Ajnana Lakshana means Atma Ajnana Lakshana. The adhyasa is not broken. And therefore Jiva thinks that it is all real. The waking is real, the dream is real, the sleep is real. In this manner he thinks. But when he understands, I am not a drashta along with the drishyam, I am solely the drashta, then I am not drishyam, then he is Paramatma. He is not confined to any body. He is not confined, he is not limited. He is like in Sushupti, when he transcends the body, he is unlimited. When he transcends the thoughts, he is unlimited. When he transcends the breath, he is unlimited. He is pure. That is called purity. Ajnana Lakshana. And therefore, when a person is ignorant, he has got a sense of reality. That sense of reality is what is called Vichitraha Jnanam. Vichitro Jayate Buddhe. The intellect is born. The intellect thinks very, very wrongly with a sense of reality. That sense of reality is entertained by the intellect. My thought is entertained by that it is a sense of reality. They all look like reality. The objects look reality. And therefore, here it is said, a sense of reality is entertained by the intellect, ajnana lakshana, and that it takes place only because ajnanam is only because of ignorance. When a person doesn't understand himself, he thinks that he is the ajnana lakshana. When a person thinks that he is the objects, I am limited and the objects are real, then it is called adhyasa, then it is called ajnanam. And more of it we will see in the next class. Thank you very much. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much, Ji.